What's up? Brandon Lilly here. Thought I'd make a video to share some of the ideas that I have about my rehab moving forward now that I'm 6 weeks out of my last surgery. The last go round, it was surgery number 11. I had a replacement of my quad tendon. They put in a cadaver Achilles tendon. So it's a little bit stronger, more, I guess you could say, tensile strength tendon. So hopefully by putting this in and rehabbing it properly, I'm able to resume 100% normal activity. My knee is now functioning quote unquote normal. It's bending well. It's feels normal. For 2 years prior to the surgery, the way that my leg was positioned and the way that everything was, my feet would go numb when I would stand. I had very little sensation in my lower legs, but now that everything is aligned properly, everything is functioning properly, everything feels really good, really good. The only battle that I have ahead of me is getting full extension. My right knee is completely normal, feels really, really great. My left knee is just short of 100% straight. When you line them up together, there's a little bit of variance, so we want to continue working that down. And then as far as bending, that's always come pretty easily for me. But now that the quad tendon is properly attached, the kneecap flexes and moves. I mean, it doesn't flex, but it moves properly, and that's allowing me to get more range of motion in the bend. So what I'm doing now is I have kind of a three-headed approach to my recovery. What I'm doing in the mornings is what I'm going to be calling like an adaptation or a forced adaptation kind of training or therapy. I'm going to be doing pool walks and swimming, just forcing the knee to move in a natural way with a lightened body weight, because the buoyancy of the water is going to lighten the load on the knee, hopefully allowing me to move the knee a little bit more normally. And then I'm going to do swimming just for overall cardio effect. And then lastly, something that I'm going to be doing is a return to some of my strongman training roots. I'm going to be doing yoke walks, probably in the range starting out with a 150 to 200 pound yoke, and then just doing either timed walks or distance walks or just repetitions, somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 trips in the morning after the swim and after the pool walks. That is going to force my body to slowly and gradually adapt to more and more workload. I'm not trying to necessarily train my body in a way of getting stronger muscles at this point. I'm just trying to get my body used to moving in the way that it will normally, just by walking and things like that, with an increased load. So that is going to be a morning style training. Number two training during the day, probably midday, is going to be more of a therapeutic, stretching, range of motion type stuff. Very, very basic. Probably some icing, some heating and things like that. Very, very common to a physical therapy type appointment. The later or the evening style training that I'll be doing, and this is every day, this is 7 days a week, because I feel like my body, one, can handle it because the volume and the intensity is very, very low. I mean, the intensity of the weights and whatnot is very, very low. The frequency is going to be very, very high, 7 days a week. So at night, I'm going to be doing something along the lines of 20 to 30 minutes on a stationary bike, again, to help the range of motion, force some blood through there. I will be varying the intensity of the pedals so that as I get stronger with the leg, I increase the amount of force that I have to use with the leg through the pedaling. Then I'll be doing some independent leg work, leg press first and foremost. I will probably be doing very, very light extensions, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 pounds with my left leg, doing anywhere from 100 to 200 repetitions a day. Again, just to force the body to move and to get the blood flow maximized to the tendon. It takes a lot more volume to get the blood flow into the tendons and ligaments than it does into the muscles. So just doing something along those lines. And then slowly, well, from now on, hamstrings are going to be a massive part of my training. One, because as a powerlifter, they should be anyway. But two, trying to transition my body into more of a glute and hamstring style lifter than a quad dominant lifter. This happened the last go round when I was coming back, and I actually pulled the 840 and I squatted the 745. If you'll notice, my squat was a little bit wider stance, and I kind of butterflied a little bit, pushing myself out into the hamstrings and the hips and the glutes a little bit more than just staying into the quads. And on the deadlift, you can see the same thing, a little bit more of a butterfly position with the knees pushing out into the hips and glutes. So I'm going back to how I used to train with a West Side system, relying more on the posterior chain and then on the quads. And as the quads get stronger, I'll slowly reintroduce some of their training back into how I move and how I lift. But for now, I've got to go where my body is strong, take as much time to let the quads redevelop, let the quads grow and heal. And then, I think it's going to be a pretty fun approach, because I think as I move forward, I'm going to maintain this 3 times a day approach for my quads for probably at least a year. And this is something that I was talking about with a couple other lifters this weekend. When I was looking at the guys, like I met Zadrunas, Krzysztof Radzikowski, and Eddie Hall. And when you look at strongmen, one of the things that separates them from powerlifters is that strongmen are always mobile with weight. They're moving weight around in different positions. They're not statically strong, they're mobily strong. So that's going to be something that I'm reintroducing for myself. One, just to make myself mobile and agile and getting around better. But also, when I look back at the strongest that I ever was in my life was when I was transitioning from strongman training back into powerlifting, and I moved to West Side. Not necessarily saying that I'm going to be dedicated to a strongman type routine, but I will be doing a lot of those movements. Like for me, I don't necessarily need to load a 500-pound stone, a la Zadrunas Savickas, which was incredible. But what I do need to look at is I need to be able to do something, more rapidly and get myself moving in a way that's unique and fun and different than what I'm used to doing. So I'm thinking something along the lines of, stone overloads for the yoke, with a 250 to 300 pound stone once I get myself back in condition and a little bit stronger, and doing some log presses and just doing some stuff to have fun. I think the thing that happened for me, when I fell, was I was training very, very hard as a powerlifter, but I was also losing the fun of why I was training, and I wasn't enjoying the training as much as I could. So moving forward, I'm going to be doing a lot of things that are unique in training to try to enjoy my training, to keep it fun, to keep it lighthearted. And then when the time comes, for a competition, kind of scale all that stuff away and get a dedicated competition plan together and focus on the power lifts. But why not be well-rounded? Because when I was well-rounded before, that was when I felt the strongest, that's when I looked my best, and that's when I feel like I was my healthiest. So that's my game plan moving forward. I'm going to be documenting some of this as I go, talking about it, and hopefully, here in the next 6-8 months, you guys get to see me do something pretty exciting in the gym, and then eventually transfer that over to the platform. But I'm certainly not done, and I'm certainly looking forward to the challenges that lay ahead. So thank you guys for checking this out, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.